Now in previous lecture we have seen serial communication protocol, that is RS-232, right? Now we have seen its introduction and next we have seen its working, right? Working using your DB9 female and male connector, right? Now coming to next serial communication protocol that was introduced after RS-232, right? Now coming to RS-232 that was introduced in 1960s, right? Now after RS-232 another protocol was introduced in 1980s, right? Another protocol was introduced in 1980s, that is SPI protocol, right? Now coming to this SPI protocol, now this SPI protocol is introduced. Now this SPI protocol is introduced in 1980s, right? Now before this SPI protocol in 1960s, RS-232 was introduced, right? In 1960s the first serial communication protocol was introduced. Now that was RS-232, the first serial communication protocol. Now that supports asynchronous communication, right? Now after RS-232 another protocol, another serial communication protocol was introduced in 1980s, right? Now this was developed by company Motorola, right? This was developed by company Motorola. Serial communication, another serial communication protocol, that is SPI protocol, that was introduced in the year 1980s, developed by Motorola. Now before this SPI, RS-232 was the first serial communication protocol introduced in 1960, right? Now coming to the abbreviation of SPI. Now SPI stands for serial peripheral interface, right? SPI stands for serial peripheral interface protocol, right? Now this is the abbreviation of SPI, that is serial peripheral interface, right? Now it is a synchronous serial communication protocol, right? SPI is a synchronous serial communication protocol. Now what about RS-232? It was an asynchronous serial communication protocol, right? RS-232 was asynchronous serial communication protocol, whereas SPI was synchronous serial communication protocol, right? Now this is used for only, now as we know, synchronous communication is used only for short distance, right? Now since it is an synchronous serial communication protocol, now this is used for only very short distance. This is used for only very short distance, right? SPI is used for only very short distance, right? Now this transmits data. Now this transmits data in which mode? In full duplex mode, right? This transmits data in full duplex mode. That means at a time transmitter can transmit the data as well as it can receive the data, right? Parallelly, right? Transmission is done at a, along with the receiving, right? Now the serial peripheral interface protocol, now this transmits data in full duplex mode, right? Now at very high speed, if you see the speed of your synchronous serial communication and asynchronous serial communication, among those two different serial communication, very high speed is you can observe under synchronous communication, right? Now this you can observe very high speed transmission of data under this serial peripheral interface protocol, and this supports transmission of data in full duplex mode, right? Now SPI is, now this provides, now it has a simple structure. Now the structure of SPI protocol is simple. Now that we will see later, right? It provides simple structure and low cost, right? The cost of this SPI protocol is also low, right? Now this SPI is a master slave type protocol. It is a master slave type protocol. Now what about RS-232? It is a DTE DCE type protocol. DTE is nothing but transmitter and DCE is nothing but receiver. Now the same thing, master is nothing but transmitter and slave is nothing but receiver, right? Now SPI is a master slave type protocol, right? SPI is a master slave type protocol, right? Now this SPI interface, right? SPI interface is commonly used for, now this is used for interfacing. SPI interface, this is used for interfacing MP, nothing but microprocessor, or MC, microprocessor or microcontroller, with memories, right? This is using this SPI you can interface your microprocessor or microcontroller with memory, or real-time clock, or ADC, analog to digital converter, or DAC, nothing but digital to analog converter. And next, displays like LCDs, right? Displays like LCDs. And next you have some audio ICs, right? Some audio ICs. And next you can interface like some sensors like temperature sensor, pressure sensor, and some memory cards, etc., right? Now using this serial peripheral interface, right? Using this serial peripheral interface, you can interface your microprocessor or microcontroller with the memory, or that means this microprocessor or microcontroller will be the master, and this memory or real-time clock, ADC, DAC, LCDs, audio ICs, memory cards, all this will come under the category of slave type, right? Slave type, right? Now this was the introduction for your SPI protocol, right? Now as I have said, now this can transmit the data at very high speed within short distance, right? Now what is mean by short distance? Short distance communication means device, within the device or between the devices on the same board. That means a very small distance, right? Between the devices on the same board, right? Short distance indicates your transmission should occur within the device or between the devices which are on the same board. That is the meaning of these short distances for your that means SPI protocol is you can using this SPI protocol you can transmit the data within a very short distance. Now that short distance means within the device or between the devices on the same board, right? Now SPI uses, now as I have said, now this supports serial communication, and that is of synchronous type, right? That is of synchronous type, right? Now that means SPI uses a dedicated clock signal, because same clock, whatever the transmitter is using the clock, that has to provide to the receiver, right? That has to provide to the receiver. That means synchronization is maintained between your transmitter and receiver. That's why SPI uses a dedicated clock signal. A particular clock signal is used to synchronize your transmitter and receiver, to synchronize transmitter and receiver, right? Because since it supports synchronous communication, synchronization should be maintained between your transmitter and receiver. For that purpose, we are maintaining a dedicated clock signal for your transmitter as well as receiver, right? Now SPI provides, as I have said, it supports full duplex communication, right? Full duplex communication, which is of very high speed, right? Which is of very high speed. Now the simple structure, now this has simple structure. Now the simple structure includes shift register and latch only, right? Now this particular simple structure, now this includes shift register which is of 8 bit or 16 bit, shift register which is of 8 bit or 16 bit, right? Basically 16 bit shift registers are used. Now along with shift register we will provide some latch, right? We will provide some latch. This is the basic structure of your SPI protocol. Now that includes a shift register which may be of 8 bit or 16 bit, but practically 16 bit is used. Now along with shift register we are using latch, right? We are using data latch, right? Now this SPI protocol, in this SPI protocol the devices are connected in master slave. As I have said, SPI is a master slave type protocol. Now this the devices are connected in master and slave relationship. Now master includes microprocessor or the microcontroller, and the slave includes peripheral output devices, right? Slave includes output devices like memory, real-time clock, ADC, DAC, LCDs, audio IC, sensors, memory cards, etc. Right? Now the SPI protocol, we are maintaining the master-slave relationship. Now whereas under RS-232 we are maintaining data transmission equipment and data communication equipment relationship. Right? Now this was the introduction for your SPI. Right? Now let me briefly explain. Right? In 1960s, a serial communication protocol was developed. Now that was RS-232. Now that we have seen under the previous lecture. Right? Now RS-232 supports serial exchange of data between your DT and DCE, and that is of asynchronous type. Right? That is of asynchronous type. Now coming to SPI protocol. Now this is a synchronous serial communication protocol. Right? SPI is a synchronous serial communication protocol. Right? Now this was introduced in 1980s. After RS-232, another serial communication protocol was introduced in 1980s by Motorola. Right? Now this was introduced in 1980s by Motorola. Now SPI stands for serial peripheral interface. Right? SPI stands for serial peripheral interface, and this supports synchronous serial communication. Right? Now since it is supporting synchronous communication, now that can be transmit data between your transmitter and receiver only for short distance. Right? Within the short distance only data transfer occurs between your transmitter and receiver. Right? Now that the meaning of the short distance is between the devices on the same board or within the device. Right? Now this is the short distance through which the communication occurs between your transmitter and receiver. Now that includes communication within the device or communication between the devices on the same board. Right? Now it transmits, since it is a synchronous communication, it transmits data in full duplex mode. Since it is transmitting data in full duplex mode, it can transmit at very high speed. Right? Now this has a simple structure. Now that simple structure includes a shift register which is of 8-bit or 16-bit. Along with shift register we have some latch. Right? We have some latch that we call it as data latch. Right? Now since it is having simple structure, now the cost of this protocol is also less. It has very less cost. Right? Now the SPI is a master slave type protocol. That means we are maintaining the master slave type relation in this particular protocol. Now master includes the transmitter and slave includes the receiver. Right? Now the master slave relationship indicates, now here we are interfacing using this SPI protocol. We are interfacing your microprocessor or microcontroller with the output devices. Right? Microprocessor or the microcontroller, that we call it as master, and the output devices that are interfaced with your microprocessor or microcontroller, that we call it as slave. Now that may include memory, real-time clock, ADC, DAC, LCDs, some displays like LCDs, audio ICs, sensors, memory cards, etc. Right? Now since it supports synchronous communication, now the synchronization should be maintained between your transmitter and receiver. That's why a particular clock signal is used in order to maintain, a dedicated clock signal is used in order to maintain the synchronization between your transmitter and receiver. Right? Now this was the introduction for your serial peripheral interface. Right? Now this SPI, this protocol, this SPI bus, we call it as SPI bus. Right? Now this SPI bus has 4 signals. This SPI bus has 4 signals. Now what are those? Let us see. Now first one is MOSI. The first signal is MOSI. Now the abbreviation is master out slave in. Master out slave in. Right? And next you have MISO, master in slave out. Master in slave out. Right? And next you have serial clock, SCLK, and that we call it as, sometimes it is SCLK, sometimes we will represent, and sometimes we will represent SCK, right? Both are same, both are your serial clocks only, right? And next we have SS or CF, right? Now this includes chip selection. Now this is also active low signal. Chip selection is always active low signal. Chip selection or slave selection. Chip selection or slave selection, right? Now these are the four signals for your SPI bus, right? Now what are those four signals? First one is MOSI, master out slave in, and next one is MISO, master in slave out, and next you have SCLK, serial clock, and next you have slave selection or chip selection, right? Now since it is having four signals, now it is also called as four wire interface. It is also called as four wire interface. Since it is having four signals or four wires, it is also called as four wire interface. Four wire interface or serial peripheral interface, both are same. Since it is having four signals or four wires, that's why it is called four wire interface, right? Now let us see the simple interface between your single master, right? Single master and single slave, right? Now single master and single slave, right? Now this is the processor or the controller, nothing but master. This is the processor or the controller, nothing but the master, and this is nothing but peripheral devices, output devices, nothing but output devices, nothing but slave, right? Nothing but slave, right? Now this has four signals. One is MOSI. Now here also you have MOSI, and here you have MISO. Here also you have MISO, and next you have serial clock. Here also you have serial clock, and next you have chip selection. This is active low signal, right? And here also you have chip selection or slave selection, which is also active low signal, right? Now this is master, and this is output device. Output device, nothing but the slave, and this is the processor or the controller, nothing but the master, right? Now this is the simple interface between your single master, right? Simple interface between your single master and single slave, right? Now coming to, let us see the operation of these first four signals, then we will see the interfacing part between your master and slave, right? Now what is the first signal? We have MOSI. What is MOSI? Master out and slave in, right? Now master out and slave in, right? Now the data generated from master, right? Data generated from master, data generated by master, nothing but the processor, right? Master out and slave in, and this generated data is received by slave, right? Now using this abbreviation you can know master out, that means master is sending the data and slave is receiving the data. Input to the slave, master out and slave in, right? Now that's why this is towards the slave, right? MOSI, master is generating the data. Now using this MOSI, that is received by the slave, that's why it is towards the slave, right? And next we have MISO, right? Next we have MISO. Next we have MISO. Now reverse, right? Master in, slave out, right? Data generated by slave and received by master. Data generated by slave and received by master. Since it is received by master, the direction will be like this. Slave is generating the data and master is receiving the data, that's why it is, the direction is like this, right? Now the master generates clock signal, right? The processor generates the clock signal, right? Processor generates a clock signal at this particular serial clock, right? Processor generates a clock signal at this particular serial clock. Now this clock is supplied to the slave, right? Processor, you have an internal clock. Now using that internal clock is sent to the slave. Processor generates a serial clock at this particular pin, and that is given to the connected to the slave. That means you are maintaining the same clock for your processor as well as slave. That's why it is under synchronous communication, right? Now coming to chip selection pin, you have chip selection pin, CS bar, right? Now it is used to select a particular slave by the master, right? Now this, it is used to select a particular slave by master, right? Now if you see this structure, since we are having only one slave, a direct connection is connected from your CS to CS, right? Now if you have more than one slave, right? More than one slave is also possible, but master is always one. Master is always one, but the slaves can be any number, right? Starting from 1, 2, 3, so on, right? Master is should be one, but the slaves can be any number, right? Now since the clock is generated by the master, the flow of data is also controlled by the master. The total control is under the processor only, nothing but the master, right? Now this is a simple interface between your processor, nothing but the master and the slave, right? Master and the slave. Now let me briefly explain. Now this SPI bus, it has 4 signals. One is MOSI, master out slave in, and another one is MISO, master in slave out, and another one is serial clock, and another one is chip selection, right? Now let us, since it is having 4 signals or the 4 wires, this SPI interface is also called as 4-wire interface. SPI interface or 4-wire interface, both are same, right? Now let us see the simple interface between your master and slave, right? That means only one master and one slave. Master is nothing but the processor. Now it is having 4 signals: MOSI, MISO, serial clock, chip selection. Now the slave is nothing but the peripheral devices, nothing but the output devices. Now that is having also 4 signals, the same thing, right? Now MOSI, master out, slave in, right? Now master is sending the data, slave is receiving the data. Since it is receiving the data, direction is like this, right? Now MISO, master in, slave out, right? Slave is generating the data, master is receiving the data. That's why the direction is like this, right? Now a clock signal is generated by the processor. Now using this serial clock, we are feeding the clock to the slave, right? The clock, internally clock is generated by the processor or the controller. Now using this serial clock, we are feeding the same clock to the slave, right? Now since the same clock is maintained between your master and slave, that's why it is under synchronous communication, right? And next we have chip selection pin. Now this is used to select a particular slave. If you see this structure, we have only one slave, a direct connection. If you have, slave can be not only one, it can be 2, or it can be 3, or it can be 4, so on, right? Now using this chip selection pin, we can select a particular slave, right? Now this is about the simple interface. Now since the master is generating the clock signal, right? If you see, the processor is generating the clock signal, right? The total process of sending and receiving the data is under the control of processor, right? Is under the control of processor. Since the clock is generated by the master, the flow of data is, the control of flow of data is also under the master, right? Now for every clock cycle, now let us assume this is the clock cycle you have. This is the clock signal that is generated by your master. Let us assume, right? Now for every clock cycle, that means this is a complete cycle, right? Now this is a complete cycle, this is a complete cycle, this, right? Now for every clock cycle, one bit of data, one bit, right? One bit of data is transmitted from master to slave and also from slave to master simultaneous, since it is a full duplex transmission, right? Now for every clock cycle, one bit of data is transmitted from master to slave as well as from slave to master, right? Now this transmission occurs simultaneously, right? Master to slave transmission and slave to master transmission. Now these two transmissions are occurred simultaneously, right? Now after 8 clock cycles, a byte of data is transmitted in both directions, right? After 8 clock cycles, a byte of data is transmitted in both directions, right? This based on this clock cycle, how the data is transmitted, that I have said, right? Now let us assume this is the clock cycle that is generated from the processor. Now this is fed to your slave, right? Now this is one complete clock cycle, 2, 3, so on, right? Now for every clock cycle, one bit of data is transmitted from master to slave and also from slave to master, right? Now this transmission occurs simultaneously. Now after 8 clock cycles, 8 T's is nothing but 8 clock cycles, 8 bit of data is transmitted between your master to slave and also 8 bit of data is transmitted from slave to master, right? This is how the transmission occurs between your master and slave based on the clock cycle, right? Now if more than one slave has to be connected to the master, then the setup is, till now we have seen the interface between your master and slave, where you have observed only one slave, right? Now let us see the structure where you are having more than now this is your master, right? This is your master, and this you have master out slave in, master in slave out, serial clock signal and chip selection signal. Okay, this is one more, and chip selection 1, 2 and 3, right? 1, 2 and 3, right? Now this is slave 1, slave 2 and this is slave 3, slave 1, slave 2 and slave 3, and this is have MOSI, master out slave in, master in slave out, and next you have serial clock signal, chip selection, right? Now the same 4 signals, MOSI, MISO, serial clock, chip selection, right? Similarly MOSI, MISO, serial clock and chip selection, serial clock and chip selection, right? Now MOSI is connected to MOSI. Now the same thing is connected to MOSI, right? Master out, slave in, right? Master out, slave in, right? Now similarly master in, slave out, master in, slave out, right? And next you have serial clock signal, clock generated from the processor is connected to all clock signal, right? And now the chip selection 1 is connected to slave 1, chip selection 2 is connected to slave 2 and chip selection 3 is connected to slave 3, right? Now this is the interface between your single master and 3 slaves, right? This is the interface between your single master and 3 slaves, right? Now even though multiple slaves are connected to the master, if you see this structure, 3 slaves are connected to the master, right? Now in this only one slave will be active at any time. If this is active, this will be inactive. S2 and S3 will be inactive. Now when S2 is active, S3 and S1 will be inactive. Now when S3 is active, S1 and S2 will be inactive. That means at a time only single slave will be under active mode. The remaining 2 slaves will be under inactive mode, right? Now in order to select the slave, right, now based on this chip selection, when this is 0, now this 2 will be 1, right? Now when it is, because since it is an active low signal, it will be operative for logic 0. When this is 0, the remaining 2 will be 1. When this is 0, the remaining 2 will be 1. Based on this chip selection pins, master will select a particular slave for interfacing with your master, right? Interfacing with your master for data transfer, right? Now hence there must be, that's why you have separate chip selection pins for slave 1, slave 2 and slave 3, right? If you have a single chip selection pin that is connected to slave 1, slave 2, slave 3, all three will be under active mode at a time, right? Because that is not possible, right? A particular slave is provided with a particular chip selection pin, right? This is provided with chip selection pin 1, this is provided with chip selection pin 2, and this is provided with chip selection pin 3, because at a time a single slave will be only under active mode, the remaining 2 will be under inactive mode, right? Now this is the interface between your master and 3 slaves. Like that you can increase your slaves up to n number, right? Now this is the introduction for your serial, that means working introduction as well as working of your serial peripheral interface. In the next lecture we will see about the internal structure of SPI, right? Now let me briefly explain again. Now since the processor is generating the clock signal, the total flow of data, the total control of flow of data is under the processor, right? Now let us assume this is the clock signal that is generated by the processor, right? Now this is a single clock cycle, second clock cycle, third clock cycle and so on, right? Now for every clock cycle, a bit of data is transmitted from master to slave, and also from slave to master, right? For every clock cycle, if this is the clock cycle that is generated from the processor, for every clock cycle a bit of data is transmitted from master to slave, and also slave to master, right? And also slave to master, right? That means for after 8 clock cycles, 8 bit of data is transmitted from master to slave as well as slave to master, right? 8 bit of data is transmitted from master to slave as well as slave to master, right? Why? Because it is under full duplex transmission mode, right? Now if this is the clock cycle that is generated by the processor, now since the processor is generating the clock cycle, the total control of data flow is under the processor, right? Now for every clock cycle, this is first clock cycle, second clock cycle, third, fourth, so on, right? Now for every clock cycle, one bit of data is transmitted from master to slave, and one bit of data is transmitted from slave to master, right? Now these two transmission occurs simultaneously, right? These two transmission occurs simultaneously. That means after 8 clock cycles, 8 bit of data is transferred from master to slave, and similarly 8 bit of data is transmitted from slave to master, right? Slave to master, right? Now that is how the operation of the data transfer occurs between your masters to slave and slave to master based on your clock signal, right? Now in previously we have seen the interface of your single master with the single slave, right? Now if you see the structure, we have one master and 3 slaves, right? Now here you have MOSI master out slave, right? Now this is connected to MOSI of 3 slaves, right? And next we have MISO master in slave out. Now this is connected to master in slave out of 3 slaves, right? Next we have serial clock is generated, that is fed to 3 slaves, right? And next we have chip selection pin 1, pin 2, pin 3. Chip selection pin 1 is connected to chip selection of slave 1. Chip selection pin 2 is connected to slave 2. Chip selection pin 3 is connected to slave 3, right? Now if you see this structure, we have individual chip selection pins for slaves, right? CS chip selection pin 1 for slave 1, pin 2 for slave 2 and pin 3 for slave 3. Because at a time 3 slaves can't be under active mode, right? Only a single slave can be under active mode. When S1 is under active, S2, S3 should be under inactive. Now similarly S3, when S2 is under active, S1 and S3 should be inactive, and when S3 is under active, S1 and S2 should be inactive, right? Now based on the chip selection pin that will be done by the master, right? Now this, when CS1 is 0, that means you are selecting the slave 1 for interfacing with your master. When CS2 is 0, the remaining should be 1, that means you are selecting the slave 2 for interfacing with, for data transferring with the master, right? When CS3 is 0 and the remaining should be 1, that means you are selecting the slave 3 for data transfer with the master, right? Now because if you have one more slave and next you will have another chip selection pin, if you have one more pin, CS5, another slave, like this, right? Now this is about the working of serial peripheral interface. In next lecture we will see the internal structure of serial peripheral interface protocol. Now that includes a shift register, right? Shift register followed by the latch, right? Now this, till now we have seen the introduction for your serial peripheral interface, and next we have seen the interfacing of your master with single slave, and next we have seen the interfacing of master with 3 slaves, right? Now that 3 slaves can be 4 or 5 or so on based on the peripheral devices, right? Now in the next lecture we will see the internal structure and modes of operation, right? Thank you.